show you some examples. If you're looking at species richness in any group or any question, let's say you choose elephants, where we have only 3 species nowadays that are in 2 genera. But if you add a fossil record, so the total biodiversity, well, that goes up to 43 genera, so that's quite a big difference. But not only adding fossils changes the numbers and the values of whatever you're looking at, also it changes your study qualitatively. Let's say if you're looking at ecology in crocodiles, again, nowadays it's not really diverse. They're all more or less living in rivers or they're coastal. But again, if you add the fossils, well, you end up with fully marine ones like this one, or even fully terrestrial ones. And there even are some extant semi-arboreal crocodiles that were found, I think, in the South American Miocene. So way more ecological diversity, again, if you add the fossils. So what I'm really interested in my PhD is to look at how including fossils into trees changes our interpretation of patterns and processes of evolution. Part of the work I'm interested in more specifically is looking at trait variation, trait evolution. Let's say if you look at body mass in lemurs, that's the skull of a lemur, ranges from few grams to few kilos if you take all the living lemurs. But if you add the fossils, it ranges from few grams to hundreds of kilos, like this giant lemur that's approximately the mass of a gorilla. So again, quite a big change when you include the fossils. Other stuff I'm interested in is in speciation through time. So we're all familiar with this kind of phylogenies. We have at the top we have the present, and the past is at the bottom. We have always this pattern of high speciation rate and short branches towards the present, and long branches and low speciation toward the past. But again, the story changes quite a lot. If you add the fossils, well, you will still find this pattern of high speciation rate and short branches in the past. So one important thing for all this kind of study is obviously you need these kind of trees that contain both living and fossil species. So actually there is 2 ways to include fossils in the trees. That's the kind of classical molecular clock way, where you use fossils as nodes. So the fossils will give you information on the divergence time of the living species, but nothing more. Another way is called the total evidence method, allows you to use the fossils as tips. So they will give you information on the divergence time, like before. They will also give you information on the topology. So now you have a real tree where you can use the fossils for any kind of further analysis. Just go quickly how to build this tree. So you need molecular matrix, like in molecular clock studies, for your living species. Then you can add morphological data for your living species. And then what we're interested in is to add the fossils. So just as to remind you, for the fossils, we only have morphological data. So all this part, the molecular part with fossil species is missing, it's not available. It has been available in Jurassic Park, but not in real life. So when looking at this matrix, what really struck me is the importance of this morphological part. The fossils actually, the only information you have to put the fossils in the tree is this morphological part. So part of my PhD that I'm going to present more in detail now is I was looking on how missing data in this morphological part will affect the tree topology. So here I'm interested in if you have more or less missing data in this part, what kind of topology will you have out of that? So here I'm only interested in topology, not in branch length, because I just want to explore where my fossil will branch if I have more or less missing data. So to do so, I use a simulation approach where I generate a total evidence matrix with no missing data. So I have fossils, living species, morphological data, and molecular data. And then I just remove randomly data up to 75%, leading in matrices with missing data. What I then do is I can infer a phylogenetic tree from the no missing data, both in maximum likelihood and in Bayesian. And then obviously I do the same with the matrices with missing data. And yeah, so that took a long time, 80 CPU years, but thankfully nowadays we can use loads of parallel computer cluster, etc., etc. That took only 6 PhD. So yeah, all that resulted in I had one tree with no missing data, and then my trees with missing data. So again, as I told you, I'm interested here in comparing only the topology. So what I did, I took my tree with no missing data and I compared it to the trees with missing data. Sorry. So to compare my trees, I use tree similarity index. I will plot on the y-axis, and I will plot my missing data on the x-axis. So the tree similarity index basically shows you how similar are your tree, obviously, that's the name. And so if you have comparing the exact same tree, you have a tree similarity score of 1. And if you're comparing two random trees, your tree similarity score will be close to 0. So meaning that your trees are no more different than expected by chance. So just to quickly explain in detail how I compare the trees, the maximum likelihood, I take my tree with no missing data and I compare it to the tree with missing data. That's my tree similarity. In Bayesian, however, we're not dealing with single trees, we're dealing with tree distributions. So what I did is I did random pairwise comparisons between the distribution with no missing data and the distribution with missing data. And then I can plot the distribution of these pairwise comparisons. And I took the mode of this distribution to be my Bayesian tree similarity index. So all that's for the methods, and now the interesting part is actually the result. So in maximum likelihood, we have a fairly pattern, fairly expected, is as you increase your amount of missing data, you decrease your ability to pick up the right tree topology. In Bayesian, however, what was really frighteningly interesting is that you cannot recover topology, or it's really hard to recover a good topology. Even if here you compare your distribution with no missing data to itself, it fails to recover a good topology. So basically what it means is your distribution is just made of random trees. So obviously the thing results, why does that happen? Why does Bayesian fail when you use local evidence method? And what we think is because of the intrinsic structure of these matrices. So remember that all the molecular data for the fossil is not available. And because we have such a huge amount of non-random missing data, we think that it just flattens the maximum likelihood, the likelihood landscape. Just to explain what I mean by likelihood landscape, if you plot the likelihood y-axis and the different topologies on the x-axis, you will have usually something like that, where your maximum likelihood tree is the likeliest tree, obviously, and in Bayesian you will have a high probability of sampling trees in this region. However, if your likelihood landscape looks more like that, again, in likelihood it's fairly easy, but in Bayesian you will have a high probability of sampling in this region. It's just way wider, so you have a way bigger variance in topology. And we think that it's this huge variance in topology that leads to these results. So just to wrap it up, actually in maximum likelihood we have an expected decrease of topological recovery when you increase your missing data, and in Bayesian we found that actually you cannot recover any topology regardless the amount of missing data. So what we propose for further study, because it's still cool to use this method, is to actually fix the topology in a maximum likelihood framework, and then you can still build a tree and use this tree to do stuff I presented you, like trait evolution or speciation rate,